and we're successful. Come watch our show, and we're the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show. Give us the word, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show, and we're the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome everyone to a new week of Betting Weekly Live. It's Monday, the 24th of February. You're with Steve Wyss and Simon Holden. Looking a bit different there, Simon, compared to normal. That is you, isn't it?
It is me. If anybody knows what's happened to my hair, Steve, can they email the usual address? And there is a cash prize. But yeah, it's me. I'm here. Great to be here. What a Monday to start the week, Steve.
Yeah, we've got plenty to discuss today. We've got a big match in the Championship, Sheffield United against Leeds, a huge fixture in Turkey, which kicks off in about an hour's time, Serie A, LaLiga action, and we've got some exclusive plays in the tennis world from Nigel Seeley as well, which we're going to deliver directly to you. I thought with Everton's improved performances that you would have more hair than less hair, Simon, but there you go. That's the way it goes. Talking of Everton, by the way, one of the biggest weekend winners on the soccer was $10,000 placed on Beto to score anytime Everton against Man United. It was Jack Wright's hot dog play in the Premier League.
The biggest vegan, Jack Wright, he called it absolutely fantastic. Max bet Beto, brilliant. Cash.
So that was a big winner for that plus 230 as well. Fair play there. And good winners yesterday in the Newcastle game. $12,000 on Newcastle money line, $10,000 on over 2.5. The over 2.5, that was in by what, the 20th minute, I think. So a good day yesterday in the Premier League for Bet Rivers bettors as well. One big loser in the soccer world was Granada moneyline live against Real Zaragoza, minus 5,000, and it lost. So that's one bad beat over the weekend. But we look ahead to the upcoming week, like we say there. Welcoming everyone, Paul Laguna, great to see you. Duncan Evans, Ming Chung as well. Leeds to show their class today. Let's have a look. We'll have a look in a minute and discuss that game. Byron says time to get on Mourinho. Villa fan, great to see you as well. Diski, Mark B. We're going to talk about the Roma game later on. But I think fair to say the biggest game in the soccer world today is in the English Championship, Tier 2. This could be a Premier League game next season. It's the top two in the table colliding. Funny enough, the last time Leeds played a big game was at Burnley. You were also on the show that day with the Dan Roebuck, I do believe. Sheffield United plus 270, Leeds United minus 121, plus 240 for the tie. In comparison, by the way, Leeds were plus 130 to beat Burnley away just 3 or 4 weeks ago. So a significant reduction in odds there for Leeds. It could. I mean, that's the interesting starting point here. I've got a feeling it's not about Leeds as such, but I think the books rate Burnley far more than Sheffield United. Most of the metrics point to Burnley being the second best team in the league. Yeah. So where do you have Sheffield United? Are they overachieving compared to what they've got in the squad, do you think, Sheffield United?
Well, do you know, I spent 2 or 3 days looking at this game, coming back to it, and my mind's changed 3 times, Steve. And one of the chief reasons is, you're right, is are Sheffield United overrated? Now, we get to this stage in the season, you know, the model men, the metrics suggest that Leeds are slightly better than Burnley and that Burnley are slightly better than Sheffield United. And that seems to be the sort of agreed viewpoint, and Leeds have certainly been heavily bet for this game in the last 24 hours. But are we being unfair to the Blades? Because if you look at the record, Steve, it's very, very strong recently all season. And you could argue if you just came to this league and looked at the top 3 teams, you know, there's very little between them. And Sheffield United seem to be coming off worse in who's the third worst. But I tie myself in knots. I keep coming back to it. I think Leeds have learned from that Burnley match, and I think you'll see a better Leeds tonight.
I mean, that match was one of the worst games I've ever seen in the Championship.
Not for the 0-0 backers. It was great.
You called it spot on. That
It was
night.
awful. Wasn't it?
I wasn't too happy as a Leeds fan how we approached it.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm actually quite pleased with the point. And I think as a fan's perspective, if he offered me a draw tonight, I'd probably take it. We don't know what's in the minds of the players or the managers. Well, Chris Wilder, I do know he'd love to beat Leeds. He absolutely hates Leeds. A lot of people hate Leeds, but I think he's near the top of the list. So, there's a long ongoing rivalry between Chris Wilder and Leeds United. Minus 121, though, I don't honestly think I could back Leeds here because, yes, I think they are the best team in the league for a lot of different reasons, but away from home, where a draw's not terrible for them, I just don't think minus 121 would float my particular boat. There's 81% of the money is on Leeds and 78% of the tickets, which is high, but not mega high. 69% of the over-under money is on the over 2.5 goals. Worth mentioning, under 2.5 is at minus 137 here, possibly due to a head-to-head record, possibly due to the tightness. I mentioned on Friday's show with Lewis Jones how there's a huge expected goals against overachievement for Sheffield United this season. Now, a lot of that could be the goalkeeper, but it does highlight how perhaps they maybe concede more chances than you might expect. If you've got a bet for the game, then which direction would you go in?
My bet for this game, and I think Leeds will win, by the way. I haven't bet in the outright market, but I've had two bets. I've backed under 2.5 goals at minus 110. But I think the best bet here tonight is a half-time draw. Now, Sheffield's last 5 home games have been level at half-time, and Leeds' last 3 away games, Steve, have been either 0-0 or 1-1. And at plus 110 this morning, I just thought that was a great bet. I think it'll be tight first half. You mentioned about the hatred the manager has for Leeds. Now, we're both from Yorkshire. It's important to get this across. Every other Yorkshire team that plays Leeds is desperate to beat them. They are, for some reason, extremely disliked by every other club in Yorkshire. I mean, this is true, isn't it, Steve? As a Leeds fan, you must know this. And that's a factor for me. This will be a more hostile environment than our Prime Minister Keir Starmer gets at the White House on Wednesday. Leeds will have a more hostile welcome than him. And I just think first half it'll be tight. And I expect Leeds to kick on second half and show that model, that view of them as slightly better than Burnley and Sheffield is true. And I think they've learned from that Burnley game. I think they'll kick on second half, maybe win 1 or 2-0. But half-time draw is my main bet in this game.
To be fair, plus money, plus 110, half-time draw, I think would represent some value because especially when you consider the goal line is it's 2.25. There's a halftime draw like in one of the other European games today, which is minus 103, but plus 110. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. And you're right. Look, this is a big rivalry. Yeah. I think there's probably bigger ones in Yorkshire. Leeds, for example, probably hate Sheffield Wednesday more. We know the Sheffield derby comes up in a few weeks' time as well. Yeah. But this is in recent years, there's been a bit of needle between Leeds and Sheffield United. The manager, of course, did call Leeds Muppets once. That didn't go down well. A few mentioned cards as well here. Perhaps that could be an angle to look at. I can't remember who made the card. Bookings, Chris Graham says bookings all the way. That could happen. But sometimes referees are lenient in these games. They are lenient, because they have to. Because if you give an early yellow or red, all hell can be let loose, and they don't want that. So it can go either way really. If you get a low cards game, it wouldn't be a big shock either. Just looking through some of the comments here. Paul Gunnar says 0-0 plus 155 for half time. That could be maybe something to look at as well. Frederick, good to see you on the show. He's going to a match in the Netherlands there. Camber, both teams to score and win. Plus, I think 227 that would be. He likes to go off the menu, does Frederick. So good to see you in the show. Stephen Holden, best bets in Sheffield United Leeds. Ama Hodzic over 0.5 shots on target at plus 550, that would be. And he is going. Yeah, I mean, he's mentioned the referee, card shy referee. It's no real fluke that the card shy referee is in here. I am not betting in the game on the main markets, but I do have a suggestion in the shot on target prop market. This is Manor Solomon to have over 0.5 shots on target for Leeds at -106. He's a slight doubt for the game, but don't worry, if he doesn't start, your bet will be void. He, I think, is a real class act in this Leeds side. He's on loan from a Premier League club. He's made a huge difference since he's come in. Comes in off the left-hand side to either cross the ball or shoot the ball. And Sheffield United, if they do have a weakness in defensive areas, it probably is in that area of the field. So, and it's a sort of game where you might need a little bit of individual magic as well, and maybe a long-range shot. So that is the suggestion I've got in the player props market for the game. In terms of result, I don't think Leeds will lose. Will Leeds win? Maybe 0-1 could be on the cards. But I like your angle there. Half-time draw time. That's your best bet for the game.
How about Daniel James, anytime scorer, +250? I thought if you did want to look at that market, I mean, this kid's on fire at the moment, and you're right about their potential frailty. If Leeds do win 1 or 2-0 or 2-0, it's highly likely that he's going to be the man who does the business. I thought that was an interesting, that might be a smidgen of value in that. You see, I think this will be a better game than Leeds-Burnley was, which is not difficult. But I think the first half might be fairly dour and similar to that. And I think this will then maybe improve as it goes on. But unless you're on 0-0, that was a send you to sleep, or that, wasn't it?
Well, there wasn't a single shot in the second half until the 85th minute of Burnley Leeds, which is,
you know, when you bet 0-0 or the draw, you just praying for the game to be compressed in the middle and no shots. That was like, I had the cigar out after about 65 minutes. There's just nobody was going to score if they played for another hour. But I do think this will be livelier.
Well, funny enough, Daniel James was the bloke who had the shot on target late in the Leeds-Burnley game. There's some out there who say he's the best player in the Championship, which is maybe perhaps an indictment of what the levels are in the Championship these days. However,
maybe he's the most in form.
He has improved a lot, and his physicals, especially in the Championship, make him lethal, and he has improved his finishing. You can't deny that. It didn't take a lot of improvement, to be fair, but he has got a lot better with his finishing. Scored, I do believe, at Sheffield Wednesday. I might be wrong there, but I think he scored against Sheffield Wednesday away. So he's got a record in this city, in the Steel City. Just looking through their Mate SK, what about the Portuguese League? We're not going to discuss the Porto game today, unfortunately. Pirro has good shot stats if playing as well. Beggarzen's absolutely right there. Joel Pirro is a good finisher. And Ray Burt, good to see you as well. Duncan Evans says kudos to James on the Leon. He nailed the SOT and the goal scorer props that he advised for that game at PSG last night. So that's the Leeds game out the way. I don't think I've got any more data for that one. Unusually, we moved to a different league today. Probably one of the few times this season that we do actually cover the Turkish league. The main reason is because it's such a huge fixture.
What
it
a
kicks
game.
off, Galatasaray against Fenerbahce, the top two in Turkish football. And as I say, 45 minutes time, this match kicks off, or supposedly kicks off. You wouldn't be surprised of a delay or two, would you? Here we know the lineups for the game; they're out there, and it's an unbeaten Galatasaray facing the Fenerbahce side. There were 6 points behind them. Jose Mourinho travels here across the city of Istanbul, and Galatasaray the favourites at +114, Fenerbahce +220. Feels like a must-win game for them, really, if they're going to get back in this title race. Certainly, they can't afford to lose the game. Goal lines around about 3 on the Asian mark, +143 for over 3.5 goals. We've actually got a neutral referee. Supposedly neutral referee. We've got Slovan Mpetshi is in the middle here. Slovenian referee at the request of Jose Mourinho, so he doesn't basically trust any of the Turkish referees. We get a lot of comments about Turkish soccer on this live show regarding far less profile games. So this huge fixture is going to catch a lot of eyes, Simon. I mean, you know a lot about Jose Mourinho down the years.
Yeah.
How do you believe that he will approach this sort of game?
Right. Well, Mourinho, whatever you think of him, I believe, is one of the top 3 football managers in the history of world football. I genuinely rate him that high. And he has built his legend, Steve, on achieving the big wins at the right time. And he knows unless he gets a result tonight, the league's gone. It is that pivotal. If Galatasaray win, it's game over. And forget it's Man City. Galatasaray could have a parade tomorrow if they win tonight. But if Fenerbahce win, then it's game on. And I thought the bet here, or the bet I've had, is on the Asian handicap plus 0.5 Fenerbahce, minus 115. My initial thoughts was to go for the both teams to score because they've got very, very offensively minded setup. But I do think Mourinho is the ace in the hole here. And you're right, he's already started the mind games, complaining to the Turkish Football League that the referees in the league are bent against Fenerbahce, which of course puts tremendous pressure on the neutral ref tonight to give results to Mourinho. This is a master of the black arts of the pre-game wind-ups, second only to Sir Alex Ferguson in it. And I just got a feeling he's going to pull one out of the fire tonight, Steve. So that's my play on the Asian handicap plus 5. 0.5, sorry.
Do you know what? I'm in exactly the same boat here. I've actually seen quite a bit of Galatasaray recently against AZ. And AZ absolutely outplayed them in both legs. And the big concern for me is Galatasaray's style. The defense is, I couldn't believe they're unbeaten in the domestic league, because that shows to me that Besiktas are not that bad, obviously, either. But I think outside of the top 3 in Turkey this season, top 4, the standard must be awful for them to still be unbeaten, 20 wins and 3 draws. Either that, or maybe, I know there's a lot of cynicalism about they've got referees in their pockets. Maybe they have if they're still unbeaten. Fenerbahce have only lost twice as well, of course, and that was to Galatasaray and Besiktas. I like them on a quarter of a ball start here, plus 0.25. And that is at minus 113. This is do or die for them. They cannot lose the game. Otherwise, it's gone. The title's gone. I actually, from what we've seen in Europe this year, I think they're the better team in the big games. And like I said, I don't trust that Galatasaray defense. Icardi and Morata ruled out the game. They're 2 big players. Well, Morata's only just come in, but he's an experienced player. So, yeah, I would trust Mourinho. I'm with you here. A lot of people going on about the cards. And
yeah, I've got a theory on that one.
There isn't. I think is there a card line offer now? Bet Rivers. There
8.5.
I mean, it's a huge line.
You've got to go under there. It gets to the point where it becomes a monster that feeds itself, and everybody piles in, and the line goes up. And eventually, like you say, the first quarter of an hour, this neutral ref, he can't start booking people, or there'll be about 4 each on the pitch with half an hour to go. I would go under there. I really would. It gets too silly eventually.
Well, they've brought him in for a reason, right? And yeah, I don't think it looks a good look, is it? If he starts booking, no. He might book a couple early to make a statement, and then they actually get the message. I don't know how he's going to approach it, but 8.5.
In games like this, and this applies to Sheffield United and Leeds, there will be tackles in the first 10 minutes that in a normal game would get a booking, but they might get waved through in these games because they are so volatile that it's all right saying make a statement and book somebody after the first corner, but the players, they're not going to listen to that. The atmosphere is going to be so toxic there today.
Yeah, it really is. Fenerbahce have had no league title since the 2013-14 season, so that's over 10 years ago. The real pressure's on them. 6 times runners-up since then. They're desperate to get a result. What price would you have for Mourinho to be sent off? Well, if the game starts to go against him, it's a virtual shilling, isn't it? Yeah. But because if it stays close and tight, he won't get sent off if he until late. He's got to be on the touchline for this one, hasn't he? For the majority of it, to get his messages across. What
price is he to do a sneaky eye poke? I took 16s this morning.
I mean, they might. Do you remember in Australian A-League when they had Heskey Cam? They might as well have Mourinho Cam here in Turkey.
The man is box office, whether you like him or you don't like him. Things happen around him. He's pure box office, and you mustn't take him 100% seriously. A lot of it is done with a wink, a lot of the interviews, a lot of the wind-ups, but he's been very effective at mind games and winning big matches. I think he's going to pull it out of the hat tonight.
This is an incredible bit of. I remember going corners unders in a game like this before on the Vice of a Pro Better. He says players didn't want to take a corner as they didn't want to get hit by objects. I mean,
Cabbages.
That's an interesting point, isn't it? Reminds me of like Luis Figo and the pig's head in the Barcelona Real Madrid down the year.
Yeah, it was Nigel that threw that.
There will be interruptions here. There was a game which was awarded to Galatasaray in the last couple of years. If this match goes smoothly, I'd be very surprised. It could even get called off at some point. Anything could happen. But it's a crucial game in terms of the title race. We like Fenerbahce here because we're in light today.
Team Mourinho.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they'll lose the game. I like plus a quarter. You like plus a half. And if they win the game, I don't think we are going to be surprised. And Effie, you're absolutely right. I think it will probably get suspended at some point, especially if Fenerbahce get ahead. The Galatasaray fans will do everything to prevent it from being a result in the books. It's mental. But there's a lot of pressure on the Turkish authorities for this game to get the match done smoothly as well. Back to more conventional matters in Europe. Roma against Monza. Claudio Ranieri has progressed in Europa League. It'd be great to see them win that, wouldn't it? Give him one last trophy before he retires.
Yeah.
Back to Serie matters today. They've got looks like a very easy game against Monza. Minus 400 are Roma to beat the cellar dwellers of Serie. They look a decent parlay piece to me, Simon. I've got to be honest. I really can't see beyond them winning the game. Monza are terrible. The handicap's minus 1.5. Is that good enough for you, or can you see Monza producing a surprise?
No, I cannot see anything other. And though people do argue against this, it's something that I do. If you are playing on the card tonight, I don't know what you think, Steve, but do you just chuck Roma into every bet as a Cadbury's booster to boost everything by a quarter? Because I cannot see Monza. They look absolutely awful, don't they?
And they've got big injuries. There's about potentially 11, 12 players ruled out injured here. They've brought back Alessandro Nesta, the manager, who was sacked by them before Christmas. But he's back now after the manager in between did absolutely nothing. Came back with a 0-0 draw. Maybe got them a bit of pride or something. Former Lazio player. He's not going to get a great reception here in Olimpico, is he? No. I just think, Claudio Ranieri, by the way, has a great home record since he's come back as the Roma manager. 8 wins out of 10, and 7 of those wins have been by 2-goal margin or more. So I think the Roman fans are right behind him in his own backyard. They love him here. And the -1 Asian handicap at minus 118, I think it's worth taking. They've had an extra day to recover from that Porto game, and they played against 10 men for most of the second half anyway in that one. Monza, they're kind of in... They do sometimes get on the scoreboard, which is what put me off the win to 0. But I think the minus 1.5. Would you go down that route, or would you just be looking to parlay them in?
Parlay them. I suppose 3-1, 4-1 if you want small stakes, correct scores. But I'm chucking Roma in everything tonight. Let's boost it by a quarter.
Just some match data for that one. We've got 99% of the money's on Roma. No surprise there. I don't think many will be betting on Monza here. 98% of the tickets. 58% of the money's on the over-under. It's on the over. I guess people worried maybe 2-0 would be a worrying scoreline for anyone who's thinking about taking the over here, because Monza might not get on the board. Just going back to the Galatasaray game, 68% of the money is on Fenerbahce for the game. So more money for the dog on away from home in the Fenerbahce game. 88% of the money on the over-under market's on the over. And I'm guessing that's because they've seen how Galatasaray have been defending of late. We've got a LaLiga match to discuss, and then we've got some tennis plays from Nigel. Sevilla, Mallorca, 2 very difficult sides for me in this division. The way I was looking at this game was half-time draw at minus 103. Simon, Sevilla evens to win, Mallorca plus 300. Neither team have been in great form since the start of 2025, really. I think the tie overall is in a very possible result here. Tough one, this game.
Do you know, I've gone again for my little half-time draw, around plus 105. Sevilla's last 3 home games level at half-time. Mallorca's slow starters, quite a dour side. I expect Sevilla to win, kick on in the second half, but I thought they were a bit tight at the price, so I'll quite happily stick that as a half-time draw again. Maybe a little double with the Leeds Sheffield.
Yeah, 15 out of 24 Mallorca games in La Liga have been half-time draws this season.
Yeah,
Mallorca have only been ahead at half-time in 3 matches out of 24. I mean, that is just really poor, I think. But at the same time, obviously, they don't lose at half-time very often. So there's surely a clear game plan to keep it tight, assess the opposition. Yeah. And then second half, they do have a better second half record, I think, to go on and win games. Sevilla, very, very up and down. For me, a very, very difficult side to predict indeed. But 81% of the money is on the home team here with 88% of the tickets. Doesn't really surprise me. Quite a big name down the years, won countless Europa Leagues. Yeah. And people will like to bet on Sevilla at home for sure. The over-under market here, the Asian goal line's at 2, by the way. And that is just a market I couldn't get involved in here at all. 62% of the money is actually on the over. But I mean, the 1-1 draw is danger in full time, I think. 0-0 could be on the cards. I'd probably go under if I had to, but wouldn't surprise me if it's a 1-1 draw exactly. We both like the tie. Half-time tie. Minus 103. That is the bet that we are going to advise here. Okay, we've got...
There could be a lot of cheering at half-time tonight.
We don't want any goals in the first half. 0-0. That'll do it. No chances.
4 draws.
Draws going through. Yeah. And we're laughing, aren't we? So just let me go through some comments before we go into some tennis talk. Mate SK likes Roma at over 1.5. Stephen says he likes Pellegrini. Score or assist? Is that score or assist? That plus 300 was rested in the last Europa League game. So that is one that he's looking there. Gianeppi saying Roma win to 0. And I can see that. And Monza might offer absolutely nothing. To be fair, Gianeppi, that's not a bad bet at all. Okay, tennis then, Simon. We've got some official from Nigel Seeley. Who, and there's a match where I think is just about to start. It is in the Dubai event. Giovanni and Mpetshi Perricard against Zhizhen Zhang. Just about to get underway. We've both got the notes here. I'll let you loose on this one. What is Nigel's advice for the bet?
Right, we're going to go over 10.5 games in set 1, minus 108. And also, the tiebreak is in play here, plus 128. They met once before in similar quick conditions. And those Zhang won 2-0. One of the sets was a tiebreak. And Mpetshi Perricard, big server. And it's a quick court, this. Now, though it's a night match and the court does slow down, this could well be a very long and tight first set. So let's go with the over 10.5 games. And also, maybe have a look at that tie break. It really is in play at plus 128. So that is over in Dubai.
Yeah, that match is just getting started. So some strong advice there from Nigel.
Yeah.
On the match there, Perricard against Zhang. The second game on the card there, Nigel's going to advise, is in ATP Santiago in Chile. Yannick Hanfmann against Facundo Diaz Acosta. We've got Diaz Acosta at minus 167 here, plus 135 on Hanfmann, and the game's lines at 22.5. What's Nigel's thoughts on this one, Simon?
Well, very quickly, do get over to Game Bet Match and watch Sean Calvert, the great man's full reasoning on this. But he has tipped Hanfmann to win here. The market may be against him, but that makes him a very big price here at plus 135. Diaz Acosta is yet to win a clay court match this season, and Hanfmann leads him 2-1 in the head-to-heads, with the most recent win being on clay. And he also beat him in the Australian Open. So we're going against the market here with Hanfmann. And this is from the great man, Sean Calvert. But do check out every day, obviously, Game Bet Match. But Sean gives full reasoning for this. But yeah, we're going for Hanfmann.
Yeah, and get on quickly here because this match kicks off at 12 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, half an hour this one is scheduled to start. But Hanfmann is the play here, plus money. So, yeah, you got half an hour to get on that particular bet there. Just switching it up now, Simon. There is 2 more. He's got 1 more in the men's and 1 more in the women's. And we're going to ATP Acapulco. And we've got Lerner Tien against Cameron Norrie. This match, I think, gets underway in about 10 hours' time, roughly. I will do a time check while she leans through the pick. It's really close with the betting, though. Plus 102 on Tien, minus 125 on Cam Norrie. So this is what a genuine pick'em, as we call it in the betting. But which direction is the Seeley money going to be going here?
It's going on Lerner Tien, a man who is going places against Cameron Norrie, who is on the decline. Now, again, we're going against the favourite here. Now, Norrie did beat Tien in their only previous meeting this year in Hong Kong. But since then, Tien has reached the last 16 in the Australian Open where he beat Medvedev. He's also come through 2 qualifying matches here, which Nigel thinks is very, very relevant and important. So he knows how the court is playing. It's extremely hot and humid, which will suit him more. He thinks he's fitter and stronger. Like I say, he's going places and Cameron Norrie is on the decline. So it's Lerner Tien to beat Cameron Norrie.
Yeah, and this is at 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's scheduled to get underway right in the middle of the night here in the UK. So
wake me up if you win, Steve, won't you?
Well, will there be some loyal Cam Norrie fans watching this right from the UK? There will be, no doubt. 3 a.m. in the morning there. But we're going to oppose him with Tien. We're going to switch to the ladies for one final play here. This is at, I think, 6 p.m. Eastern today. And we are going to Mexico, Merida. Elina Avanesyan against Magdalena Frech. Again, quite a close betting heat. You could call this nearly a pick'em as well, really. Plus 107 on Frech, minus 127 on Avanesyan. And the main play here is Rory Giovanni's got a tournament pick for this particular, obviously, for Mexico. And Nigel's going to side with her. Take us through this one, Sam.
Well, Avanesyan, of course, is Rory's picking the entire tournament. Now, this is a hard court, but ironically, it's the slowest hard court of the year, slower than even some clay courts. Avanesyan's already won against Frech on clay. The money has come for Frech, but because she's a seeded player. Now, what the guys think here is that this is a kind of public play, but the more knowledgeable types here will be on Avanesyan. And they think that's good value, minus 127. And of course, Rory Giovanni has got to win the entire event. So this looks an extremely solid pick. That slow court could be the difference here.
Yeah, 4 picks there in the tennis to get your teeth stuck into. Nobody knows who Cam Norrie was even at Wimbledon, says Nigel. That's quite a funny one. But just before we go, we've got some house specials that have come in from Troy, the producer. We've got Artem Dobbik to score and Roma to win against Monza at plus 148. I think he is questionable for the game, but if he starts, he may well get on the score sheet there. And also a house special in Sevilla, Mallorca. Both teams score yes in the first half at plus 440. We'd certainly take 1-1, wouldn't we there, Simon, at the interval. But if you like those two there, then do get involved. And the SAC has shown a card. I do apologise. I completely got that wrong with scorer assist. There's so many different terminologies now that are used in the betting world, but I got that wrong. So SAC has shown a card. And the Betting Weekly newsletter, do subscribe to it. It's been going really well this year. You had a great pick on the newsletter last week, Sam. It was really well written. The research you put into it was painstaking.
Cruel.
And it was a void in the end. Yeah. So what a shame that was.
Summed my week up, that, Steve.
And what was I going to say? Yeah, it's been going really well. Do sign up absolutely free of charge. So, that is pretty much it for today now, Simon. I do believe I've got to wish you safe travels.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm off to Turkey, and if things are a bit explosive, I do not want to be landing in the middle of a Galatasaray Fenerbahce riot. So please keep it, even the special one, my hero, keep it very low key and welcome any Brits that arrive tomorrow.
You will be arriving there in your Fenerbahce shirt.
Very much so.
And,
or Galatasaray, depending who I see first outside. I've got one of the reversibles. You've not played both sides out there.
I bet they don't do a half and half scarf for this game.
No. It is with a bloke's head wrapped round it.
Won't happen. Right, best bet. Best bet for Monday for you, Simon. What are you going to go with?
I'm going to go Leeds Sheffield halftime draw.
I'm going to go with
my
best bet is on Jose Mourinho plus a quarter of a goal. Fenerbahce to keep the title race alive in Turkey kicks off in 25 minutes. But yeah, we wish you well out there in Turkey, Simon. And,
I'll be in touch.
Don't make sure you wear a bit of headgear. We don't want you coming back with a burnt scalp out there.
Factor 50 all the way, mate. Let me tell you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I burn looking at a picture of the sun. I've got to be so careful.
Sun? What is sun? I've
exactly.
seen it not in Yorkshire for a few months.
You never
anyway,
see me and Nigel Seeley in the same place, do you? And we use the same barber. So take the hint, folks.
Well, thanks very much for your time. We are back tomorrow, Betting Weekly Live. It's going to be Dan Roebuck with Nigel Seeley. And for the rest of the week, I think Giovanni's on. Giovanni's going to be on as well. I'm back on Wednesday. And best of luck, whatever you are taking today in the soccer world or the tennis world. And remember to gamble responsibly. And like I say, we'll see you next time on Betting Weekly Live. We appreciate everyone's time with us on the show today. And Simon, pleasure as always.
Thank you. Thanks for all the nice wishes.
Take care, y'all. See you next time.